Skill 4 for the Chapter 1 Geometry 1 test. You should know how to find an endpoint when given one endpoint and a midpoint. So for example, find the endpoint of a segment with midpoint m -2,5 and an endpoint 7,1. Now this is a little tricky because the word midpoint shows up in the problem. And therefore it leads us to often believe that we use the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And the issue is that in order to use the midpoint formula, you have to be given two endpoints. The endpoints go into the formula. And here we don't have two endpoints. We have one endpoint here and one midpoint. We're given essentially the wrong information to use the formula directly as is. So you can use the formula and manipulate, do some algebra, or you can set it up like this. If you have a line segment, for example there, where does the midpoint go? Well, the midpoint goes in the middle somewhere. So what we know is that one endpoint, this first endpoint, for example, is the point 7,1. We know our midpoint is the point -2,5. And we're looking for the other endpoint, which goes on the other side of the midpoint. So it goes endpoint, midpoint, endpoint. The endpoints go on the end. The midpoint goes in the middle. Now, because the midpoint is exactly in the middle, the top half and the bottom half need to be congruent, the same length. What that means is that the distance between 7 and -2 is going to be the same distance between -2 and the next x value. So how far is it between 7 and -2? Well, to get distance, you can subtract the numbers. 7 minus -2 equals 9. So from 7 to -2, we actually go down 9. We subtract 9. So down here, for the other endpoint, we need to subtract 9 again, so that the change is the same both times. So -2 minus 9, we get an answer of -11. Now we do the same thing for the y values. The distance between 1 and 5. Well, distance has to be positive, and we need to subtract. So you have a couple of options. You can do 1 minus 5. But 1 minus 5 is actually -4. We need that number to be positive. So our change is that we went up 4. From 1 to 5, that's increasing by 4. Down here, to get from the midpoint to the endpoint, we need to increase by 4 again. So if we start at 5 and we increase by 4, that's 5 plus 4, which is 9. The other endpoint is the point -11, 9.